Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, winter, winter. Welcome. Winter, winter, Winternomics. Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, winter, winter. Welcome. Winter, winter, Winternomics. Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just Welcome to Winternomics TV. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready, bitches. Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, winter, winter. Welcome. Winter, winter, Winternomics. Welcome to Winternomics TV. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready, bitches. Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, winter, winter. Welcome. Winter, winter, Winternomics. Welcome to Winternomics TV. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready, bitches.
What up, what up? How's everybody doing this morning? A little bit of a late start. This is a Yogi's Love. If you can figure that one out, you're smart. Might be a little dated joke, but it means something today. How's everybody doing out there? Yes, no, maybe so. Let's go check here, audience. Morning. All right, let's see what's up. Buenos dias. You like that? Bilingual stilo. Don't worry, I don't got the COVID, it's just allergies. So, probably a little bit of a shorter show, 7:50. 6. So we'll definitely have to fit this guy into probably about 45, 50 minutes. Nomics time. Thank you for, who's this? Peter. Grassy ass. Oh shit, respect Peter. On the best, see that. Sent you a thank you back. Oracle time, that's right. Radu Para. Guys, if wicks are price action, then why does every trader and his dog trade the open and close of candles disregarding wicks, even when drawing Fibonacci? Because every trader and their mom isn't a value scarce. When you say every, that immediately means fucking idiot. We'll talk about wicks today and show you just how quickly you can solve that yourself. So when you see a trader cut out the wicks, you put him on your idiot list. That's what you do, because he's fucking stupid. If things aren't clear at first, it's a problem of resolution. I'll show you just how simple that is in just a moment. What else we got? Cock waffles. Man, we gotta do something with that handle. Let's see. Alright, anything else new, guys? Any questions you want to ask while we go in here? I'm going to start into a couple things. I'll talk about this Wix thing first as a segue. That's always fun. So Wix are people too. Never leave them out. I just helped you pay off a big loan. Well, you just helped you pay off a big loan. I just put shit out here. If you figure out how to use it, that's on you. So give yourself credit. Master. Me? I am a little bit foggy. Thanks for asking. But I'm ready to go. Cock waffles. Dude, that fucking handle's crazy, bro. Cock waffles 3000. Can I still join the Nebula Telegram? So we have a Winternomics lobby, which is like a join to this. And from here, I'll put a link in the show. And we discuss heavily psychology, the way you view things, and that's the first introduction to Nomics logic, is how you think about a thing. And in there, that's a free room. We do filter and we pay attention to whoever comes in through this link, and we discuss, and we're starting Zoom calls in there where we have conversations just about how you think about things that you never gave a second thought to, things that you thought were like already understood by everybody, and you're just looking forward. It's like, well, here's my opinion of this. Like, forget that. How you form opinions, how you think about a thing is really important, and that statement's a lot deeper than you think. Markets being 90% psychology, that's the most important question of the day. The way you formulate ideas comes long before you can use any chart or setup. So how you have your ideas, how they take shape, is what we discuss there. We deal with psychology first, because like the cliche goes in markets are 90% psychology. So then if anybody starts with anything but it, an in-depth dive into how you formulate ideas, so that we can understand how those thoughts that precede actions take shape. No indicator solves anything. You can't jump to, here's a pretty indicator. That's a scam artist. Anybody that's fucking going to sell you an indicator first without dealing with the way you fucking deal with information doesn't understand the markets well enough to be training you shit. First. That's why you don't see anybody talk about that, because they're a bunch of scam artists. Can you talk about the VIX and Forex correlation of any? We'll see if I can put that in there. Crossman, I would talk about moon trading. I'll see if I can find a way to put that in here right now. I have some specific things I want to cover, but I did say I would talk to you about lunar trading. I'll see if I can fit that into this one. I do apologize. I remember that last one and I did miss that. How do you think the second wave still affects the S&P? I'll see if I can put that in there as well. Wix lives matter. Damn right. Opening bars. Damn, censored user. What the fuck kind of loan did I just pay out? Help you pay off 10,000 bits, bro. Appreciate you. Well, I'm glad you're in a better place, and that's part of what the show's about. I want this show to be useful. One of the things that most people do, they try on the morning market show, they try to get prepped for what might come today, and it's all fucking ridiculous and has no bearing. And so, this having utility is what the value is, that you can actually take something from here and it helps improve the way you formulate your ideas. Again, Censored, that's fucking phenomenal. Appreciate the support of the show on that level, man. You guys are awesome. Let's go over to the chart because time is short for us this morning, and I don't know what's going on in the chat right now. There's like a million fucking emojis in there. Okay, I think I know what's going on there. Heisenberg uncertainty principle. They're not ready for all that. So let's go over here and get the charts up real quick. My screens are kind of out of whack. Where's my screen controller? All right, that's the head-on one. I don't want that. Nope. How about this one? There we go. All right. My two side. Oh, I want to talk about this first on the side. Let's talk about COVID. So, I put some funny posts on Instagram about fucking Florida, man. And god damn it, Florida's fucking number one pushing the second wave. It's fucking great. 50 fucking states and we make headlines for the dumbest shit like constantly for the last 20 fucking years. It's pretty fucking amazing. USA's graph. Right, and we talked about this last show that we look like we were gapping into the chart, and you see it, right? It's just this acceleration, which is now the news is picking up is more excessive than people thought. You could see that thing if you guys watched, I believe it was Blackwater and Morning Meditation. We looked at the graph, and you could see it just like, the resolution is not so great because it's daily. Let me go here and put up one of these COVID graphs. So we're looking at COVID. U.S. confirmed. I got it by Florida in here. They might have it state by state. All right, switch charts. Yep, I wish we had a better resolution to this guy. But so we looked at this, right? The acceleration, you can see it from when we went back here a couple shows we did on June 19th and the 20th. We had looked at this guy and we could kind of see it already that it was like accelerating, and the resolution, like I said, is not the greatest on this thing, but you can see that like there's a bit of an acceleration right there. It's speeding up, and that was the fundamentals that were in place when people got tired of stay-at-home orders and they wanted to reopen and they forced it, and the crowds and the riots combined, everybody started to do exactly the opposite of what was necessary to keep the virus in check. And that's the fundamentals of a bull market, that you have to have like a underlying fundamental picture that allows the pump to take place. And until the crowd has a meaningful shift in those behaviors that are in trend, you won't bring about the COVID crash cycle, right? You want the Rona. You want the COVID to fucking spike out, and then the fundamentals of the crowd change such that COVID can, make his complacency shoulder, and we ultimately see a dump move in COVID stats because the crowd's fundamentals here are nothing like they used to be on the way up, right? That's what happens when you have a crash cycle, right? Everybody that was terrified about Bitcoin, that it could crash at any minute, my God, this could keep going. Holy fuck, this is insane. You know what? I'm fucking all in. Those guys sit there and say, well, it's just going to be my turn. I bought into good companies. I'm going to wait for what happens here. Fuck this. I'm not looking at my portfolio. Oh my God, I'm going to lose my house. I'm still not logging in. The fundamentals switch, right? In a bull market, there are a certain set of fundamentals that allow this arc to happen. Boy, do I hate the fucking color yellow or what? That is fucking horrendous. Where is this? Jesus Christ. It's fucking ridiculous. Right, the fundamentals that govern the uptrend in a bull market are different than what allow it to fall, right? We know that there's a crowded trade that happens when you get to BTC 20,000 where everybody thinks BTC can't stop. And so in COVID, right, there comes a point where everybody's doing the thing that's allowing this thing to go fucking moon. But when the trade gets crowded and people see death all around them, right, it'll mind fuck them into like, holy shit, my fucking relative is passed or this person is passed. I don't want any part of that. And the fundamentals of those people begin to change to build this complacency structure to where everything that's involved here is different than what allowed it to progress up, and basically the opposite of the behaviors that allowed this take place on the downside to bring this about. We don't see that. We don't see people fully fucking believing this. You can always see a sky shot of a beach and some jackasses on it, and a significant amount of jackasses on it. when you want to look at the leadership of the country, right? The states that basically kiss Trump's ass literally just fucking moon the entire fucking country. If you want proof of dumb money, that would be it. Well, we've talked about that. We're not going to harp on that too much today. So let's go ahead and get our fancy COVID cycle drawings off. So, told you to talk about Wix real quick. Where are we at time-wise? Because time is a factor. 8:06. All right. All right, let's see. All right, so really simply, Wix. Let's cover that fast. The hotkey will be changed. I don't know what that is. I didn't touch a hotkey. We'll cover crypto at the same time real briefly as we cover our Wix. So which one of you guys doesn't have crazy drawings? Oh, that has crazy drawings. All right, those aren't too crazy. Big enough. All right, so real back quick to BTC, right? So Wix, how does every trader you know not include Wix? Well, every trader you know is fucking got brain damage. So let's show you how quickly that's fucking idiotic to do, right? At first things are not clear. It's always a problem of resolution. We say that a lot on Twitter. What does that mean? Well, Wix, right? Let's just look at this. Here's a wick, right? Let's look at this wick. Let's say you're a rookie technician or one of these seasoned crypto plebs, basically the same guy, right? Fucking idiot on an idiot. And you decide to tell me you're going to fucking go ahead and just graph the candle body and cut out the wicks. Well, did you ever stop to think that a wick is not necessarily always a wick just because of the time increment you're fixed to? That's a really limited way of thinking, you know? How many of you guys are going to trade down on fucking intraday charts and skip what's going on in the hourly? Probably not many, right? That's March. We take a 24-hour market and we divide it down into 24 pieces and look at it, right? Look, I see a whole bunch more wicks. We could chop out wicks everywhere if we keep on dropping time frames and cut the whole fucking price out. Like, what's in a fucking wick? So anybody you see graphing a wick out, make sure to fucking punch them right in the face, because that's a fucking dumbass. And I'm gonna show you how quickly that's ridiculous. Let's find that little box I just drew. Oh my god, probably not my smartest move to go scrolling through this page at fucking turtle speed. That's in March, the bottom of that throwback there. And that wick that you just saw me draw is full of people at a different resolution, right? What is a wick? A wick is a whole bunch of data that happens fucking at a resolution that you don't see in a particular time increment you're locked into. But at another increment, right, it's very much got price action in it and a significant amount on the way down. At this resolution, I could go into this, like what's no longer all a wick, but some candle bar body, and I could look into this piece, and I would eventually find that it was built out of the same thing at all time scales. It's an insane thought that somebody would even think about that and not recognize when they change the time increment, the wick that they'd seen on one time frame doesn't remain. That person is just fucking clueless is what your problem is there. So imagine cutting all the wicks off on any time frame you go into to try and make it cleaner, quote unquote. And you just haven't actually understood what the fuck is in a wick. You're just an idiot. Who the fuck would cut this out? It's where the greatest amount of people fucking fucked up and the reversal of the car from. You're gonna cut that out, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. That's the simplest thing. So when you see people do that, look, more wicks, better delete those. You go down to 1 minute, you could delete the whole fucking price chart if you really wanted, and then you could really have nothing to work with. Yeah, it's just stupid. Did I put a circle on that? I don't think I did. Yeah, all your wicks. Oh, there's a wick right there, right? So that's 1,600 hours. All right, what's in a wick? More information and a different resolution. I see tons of people cut it out. All it tells you is that person needs to go back and fucking bust tables and stay the fuck out of the market. That's just an uneducated person. Really, really, really uneducated. See how quickly that's solved? Did you want to delete this too? Or did you want to get the piece on the end because I zoomed in more? Which wick do you want to get rid of? Wicks are people too. Pretty simple. Doesn't take you 5 seconds to figure that out. So if everybody's doing that, you know a lot of stupid motherfuckers. Alright, so that's a memo. So don't follow stupid people, or at least have the ability to recognize when someone is stupid, so you don't get let off a cliff by them, because that's plenty of that to go around, right? Value's scarce, so you don't know a lot of great fucking technicians. You know a lot of idiots, but value's always a scarcity in any system. So that being said, VIX. So somebody asked me about currency in the VIX. Is there a VIX chart? Talked about that level we said to watch, right? 36. Point, I know I do this fucking crooked as shit, but it's 36.2 up here, 0.1, 0.2. I said, watch that. That had to hold for VIX not to go crazy and us to really be in some shit. VIX, is increasing fear, and with increasing fear, you have an inverse relationship with price. So that was pretty important. We know that we need to see this hold to have a reasonable shot for the market to keep pushing also. So that being said, we'll have to overlay this a different way. So the S&P 500 is the main graph we'll put. SPY. Oh yeah, that looks terrible. Right, and so at this moment, well, this resolution is kind of like, let me go up a little higher. Maybe I'll make this cleaner. Yeah. So, we wanted to see basically the market not fucking break through this to send us fully off a cliff. And we bounced every time we were at 36, and we bounced again. But, the market's still struggling and has a ways to fall before you're in the territory of normal risk assumption. We said that. VIX is still quite high. This is all still very dangerous. That being said, I've seen something interesting. So, the show's name is Yogi's Love. Anybody know what Yogi's Love, or which Yogi I'm talking about? If you're too young, that joke's going to fly right over your head, but it's still pretty funny if you think about it from my perspective. Don't know what this means. Getting crazy memos. What does it say? Anonymous cheer. Holy crap. Appreciate your 5,000 bits too, anonymous person. Damn, you should make yourself known. I always appreciate those that show that appreciate the show. So I hope the show does that much of a benefit for you guys, at least, So I would assume so, but that's really awesome to see. So let's talk about some currencies. So somebody just asked that, and the VIX. It's funny you say that. Let's look at something like AUD, JPY. So I was looking at some interesting things. We drew this up on the last show too. We drew up some currencies actually a couple shows ago. And we're looking at what we see here in the Australian dollar. And the Australian dollar, Japanese yen really does mirror the behavior of the market a lot. You can watch the risk-off moves happen here just the same. The market gets blown off. You'll see it gas and the yen become excessively strong. Australia dollar had been trending down for some time. And what looks like, it stalled out its strength in 2015 and began to collapse ever since. Sat back and I took a look at this thing, at higher and higher resolutions, and I noticed something pretty amazing, So here's the Australian dollar. What exchange am I on with this? FXCM. That goes back to 1993. When you're on here, you have different exchanges that have different amounts of time. So the guy with the biggest amount of time that I found is ICE. Let's see, yeah, ICE has a little extra time going back into 1991. All right, cool. And so you look at this guy, man, and what do you see? Really cyclical fucking thing, right? Aussie highs and Aussie lows. And I did look at this and I thought about it, because risk goes across all assets. We talk about that with regard to BTC. People who thought BTC was some asset in space on its own and swore to God it was nothing like crypto, fail to recognize the correlation of risk assets, right? Because they don't know what they're talking about, which is most people. And that's why you always need to be able to check, and have your own thought process to recognize what somebody might leave out if their biases are too strong. So this chart was one I made for everybody to recognize that risk assets were correlated across, across the market, and it wasn't as isolated as you think. I'm a Forex guy, I'm a crypto guy, I'm a stock guy. You do that shit and you fucking end up thinking everything is separate, and you lose sight of the connectedness of all things, especially when humans interlink all markets. So we're looking at this guy running right now, and I do see the correlation, between him and the S&P. S&P broke out of really the consolidation structure that we see there, and crypto still languishes, right? So for all intents and purposes, until crypto gets above these highs, you don't really, have much to go on for it in the bull case. 10.4 is the line in the sand, like we said, and that's capped it for quite some time. The words are going to move with it. Okay. So risk assets, right? Seeking risk or risk off activity. There's always two things in a market. It's like the breath of life in and out. You inhale and exhale, you breathe in risk and you breathe out risk. It's the same thing. The markets do this and they ebb and they flow. This has a much more stochastic picture to it, which is pretty neat. So I'm going to turn this guy into a line chart. And so the joke is, what is Yogi's favorite thing? Yogi's favorite thing is a picnic basket. If you don't remember Yogi Bear, I'm not talking about like, fucking meditation Yogi. If that's what you thought, you should know better. So let's put some things on here. Let's make a Aussie basket that Yogi could love. So we'll use ICE. And you're going to see the correlation of the Aussie currency, which has a high interest rate across the G7 and is generally like a favorite of the carry trade. When you're seeking risk, you want to borrow from a low-cost currency and place money in a place of high returns and basically make the carry between the two currencies. So when you see risk-seeking behavior, you'll generally see people borrow from cheap sources of money and deploy capital in places for returns, right? So you'll see that reflected in currencies too. That's a mouthful. But you should pick at that, it's not too hard. Oh no, don't do that. Oh cool, I got the right one. So we put these all like this so we can just see the AUD kind of like for what he is, right? And I'll put just a few on here to put everything, but this would be good enough to illustrate the point. Want this guy to go away. Hide you. I can turn this off for a while. Oh, that's fine of it, I guess. We'll add a couple more guys to you. All right, and you guys all know all the big majors. You can just make a basket of these guys, and you see this stuff well reflected. So when you look at this, you can see kind of like these really crazy climaxes. I overlay these. These are all relative, so you see massive differential in some. But what you do see is that same like low and high moment, in the marketplace. You see. See the highs here and the lows, right, of the Australian dollar, right? This right here, these lows, this is the top of the internet bubble. And it began crashing. These currencies began crashing actually slightly ahead of the internet bubble. Come on, where's that vertical at? I'll show you something cool. So, internet bubble, starts in March 2000, and this is September 11th down here. But March 2000 is where the internet bubble really begins. Like, Cisco misses their earnings, and the NASDAQ basically takes a fat shit and never stops, right? So this currency is already deflating long before we see that. What I want you to show you is where all these lows are in this risk-seeking currency basket. So, here's the trenches. We know what that is. That's the banking crisis. And one more time, this massive climax of a spike down is COVID. So here you have the aftermath of fucking the crash of the internet bubble, the banking crisis, and COVID. And when you look at this on the span of time, you can kind of see something pretty incredible, right? You can see the fucking climax blow off of risk all three times. And, this does very much relate to the VIX. It very much relates to risk assets globally in every place you can find them. So when I looked at this, I said, let's check out the S&P. SPX. Right now, the fear levels are so crazy. You have a disease that's out of fucking control. And nobody can see forward what the fuck is going to happen. That is when values are most often, mispriced. Because the emotion that's going on right now, the lack of visibility, the increased fear, all of that leads to mispricing of fucking assets. Move that guy up. So when you look at this, right, what do you see? See the internet bubble crash here? This market begins, to show, what does this thing put arrows backwards for? That's so crazy. And you can see from here, it's kind of like BTC, it's kind of loose correlation, but oh my God, why does it put the arrow backwards? It's so intuitive to draw it the other way. You see the cycles of risk assumption tied across many assets. Oh my God, fucking arrow. Fucking drive me crazy. And this is a holy shit. All right, there it goes. Right, we can see that. We can see across currencies, across the market. And you guys said you wanted to see the VIX. I'll put him on somewhere, right? So the VIX. Where do you want to put him? We'll put you at the bottom, I guess. Oh no! Don't do that. Fuck. Let's try that again. VIX Mageddon. Oh yeah, it's a horrible color for the VIX. VIX moves down to existing pain below. So we can see the VIX, right? He kind of shows very good correlation with the exact same situation we see. Of course, the spikes of banking crisis and COVID were fucking real epic. But what you see here is like how correlated three things you probably never even dreamed of seeing in the same place could be. So COVID, created a spike that is absolutely, anomalous along the history of the VIX. It was huge. The only thing bigger was the banking crisis in 30 years. Not like fucking the Asian contagion, not the impeachment of a president, not the crash of the market, not even 9/11 rivaled what happened in the banking crisis or COVID. These are such extraordinary levels of fear across the last 30 years. Literally we have nothing else to compare it to. And those moments of fear, the greatest amount of emotional distortion to reality, are the moments of greatest opportunity. If you look at this, you can clearly see it. We are either at another version of those, or it's different this time. And in each of these situations, you had that, 9/11. Imagine the two biggest buildings in New York City getting hit and taken down in today's times, right? That's the last place on earth you expect any kind of strike from any kind of foreign anything. But that really happened on American soil, and 2,600 Americans died in the middle of Manhattan, on TV in broad daylight. I woke up to that shit when I was in college. I turned on my TV to watch CNBC in the morning, and fucking one of the towers was smoking, and I'm half asleep. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching right now? And I woke up literally just in front of the next plane flying into the shot that slammed the other tower. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, what am I watching? And I had some friends on a fun floor, and I called them like, what the fuck is happening right now? It was literally the craziest thing you'd ever seen. And then to think is the stock market going to work? The stock market was closed. Most people haven't seen that. The market was closed for a bit of a period to allow for this entire nightmare to fucking happen without destroying the fucking market. From that period, we invaded Afghanistan, and it looked even darker. And that was the moment of maximum opportunity. The market bounced into what we call the reflation trade, and you had what was the housing boom that led to the banking crisis. From the banking crisis apocalypse, you see the same thing, right? The entire world takes a fucking, exhales for a moment, and inhales, a risk off breath, and fucking boom, one more huge fucking markup under Obama's era into Trump. Now you've walked into COVID. Either the virus that's the end of mankind, like we talked about in VIX Mageddon, if we have a trend in fear, then this is it, or there's something else. So we look at this, and we talked about space cash. We're looking for over here. See, pretty neat, my Dow 100, all sitting ready for me. This is the old one. This is the 2014 one. Somebody's obviously digging through my old stuff. But does this guy play out? I had the more complicated one of this in the many shows. This guy might not play anymore. I don't think these old ones play anymore. He's a 6-year-old chart, so I guess not. Anyways, so in this guy, I can use this guy because he's nice and clean, and I have all kinds of shit and the other stuff. So I put this guy up in 2014 to show you the structure of 100 years of central banks being underneath the marketplace, and they know what they're doing, right? The fundamentals to keep a pump going at this fucking scale is remarkable. Let alone the cross cycles you focus in on in your lifetimes. If this is the upside of a crash cycle that will climax and be the end of the United States, they've sustained this wave for 100 years through World War II, through the space era, through stagflation, through fucking internet era. It's extraordinary for people to think the central bank doesn't know what they're doing. If you sit back and look at this, if you saw a shitcoin that had this waveform, you would be fucking dying to buy the next leg of it, right? Phenomenal pump structure. And they've kept the fundamentals of the United States in place for a long time, and we are still the best of breed in the G7. Anyways, when you look at this little zone here between I have this little thing in 1983 and to the internet bubble era, right? We're looking for a fractal similar kind of blow off to take us from what effectively is the lows of Nixon leaving to this entire arc out, which is a 25-year arc, The fractal of which is Obama's arrival, right? The country basically felt the same about both, right? The loss of a president or getting a black one was psychologically similar damages, which allowed for an opportunity that no one saw coming. You got to Ronald Reagan, remember, nobody took that guy serious, nobody liked Jimmy Carter. When you get into this market in the 80s, most people look back fondly at Reagan, but they don't remember shit about him actually in the moment he arrived. That's the context that's lost in history, is like, what do people feel like in the now of this day? You know what you think about it after this is all happened. It's like, oh yeah, it was clearly a bull market under Reagan. No, it wasn't. Under Reagan, people thought he was a fucking idiot. He was fall asleep. He was fucking older than Joe Biden. Looked kind of crazier. So when this happens, right, you have Black Monday. And this extension from Black Monday, this massive fear spike in Black Monday leads to the markup that takes us into the age of the internet. That fractal is what I'm looking for behind Black Monday too. For us to have this portion, what kind of fear would you need to generate to keep people out of what would unfold to be in our leg, in our era, the space cash leg, the leg that takes us off Earth. And we have Space Force formed. We have a lot of the rule changes that we need to see from when we forecasted in 2015. They're there now. To have this be a fractally similar thing to Black Monday, because this is Black Monday too, and allow for the markup from Black Monday, fractal Black Monday, to take us into space, then we'd have to have a global fear spike to misprice forward reality to a degree that everyone would fucking miss this one more time. Just like all of these waves, you just constantly think it's going to end. That has to be the thing, because when you believe it's not going to end, that's when you shockwave or you pull back. So you have to keep the crowd from believing, because the crowd is the fuel to buy the idea at ever higher prices, right? These shockwaves are the cornering of perception. And the markup, which was ultimately sold to people who catch on to what the people in this that were buyers knew later and unload those people. That's how markets work. You see this shit on CNBC and stuff where like Dennis Gartman is running on talking about how retail traders shouldn't be allowed to trade. The minute that man says that, he just told you he doesn't understand capital markets, right? If this entire leg is based on the asymmetric flow of information from the few who know it to the fucking great many who buy the idea at the tail end of it, who the fuck do you want to sell to if everybody's an institutional trader? You absolutely need the empty space, right? Rule of the atom. 99.9% of everything is empty space, and there's an exceedingly small point of value. But that value doesn't mean shit if it's not contrasted against fucking nothing to tell you that that's valuable within a scheme of things that are not valuable. So that's true in markets. We don't get to fucking, sell our shit to fucking aliens, so you need all the humans that are in this. This is a graph of human behavior across time. It is the consensus of what we believe about the fundamentals we have access to at the moment we have access to. And we don't all have the same fundamentals. That's really big to fucking make sure you keep in your mind. That's a mouthful. So back to our basket chart over here, right? So we either look at this as, in the last 30 years, these three critical points have marked the biggest markups and fucking wealth gains in the world. This is either one more of them or it's different this time, right? We have a nice climax in the base of all these guys. So either we have these guys putting in a meaningful low and another point of massive risk assumption coming in the markets that no one sees. That will now begin from... that's not what I expected to happen at all. Hold on, let me get that guy to look not so retarded. Yeah, I was trying to do something else there. Alright, well I can't, it's too squished up there, but you get the idea. So I'm just going to bring this down like it's like drawn from some other high place. So, oh my god, stop it. So that's what I'm seeing, right? That it looks like you have, a massive wave of potential risk-seeking behavior sitting on the sidelines. Now the reality is that all central banks have fucking got added phenomenal liquidity to the system, and many of them, including our own central bank, still have the capacity to add even fucking more. So the fundamentals are in place for you to reprice assets, because when you dilute the money in the system, right, you reprice the assets that are in terms of that money. Prices and value aren't the same thing, right? Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. If I add a bunch of water to the pool, all the fucking water toys will float to a different level. They themselves will keep the same relationship they had, but in terms of your money, they will look different. So price and value aren't the same thing. People mess that up a lot, saying that high prices equal high value. No, it doesn't. If I just change the money and add 10x the paper to the system, all the relationships in all the asset classes will remain the same. You just add a zero to everybody. That didn't change the value, right? Value is what you get. So it's the law of substitution that governs value, not the price that you denominate in the medium of exchange that is meant to allow us to transfer value, right? Money allows me to transfer the value of a car or a sheep or a cow to you without you having to fucking drive around with a fucking cow in your car. Money allows for transfer of value. That's what it is, a conduit for me to exchange values of assets. This microphone, this laptop, this mask. I don't have to send you the physical item. I can send you the value through the fucking medium of exchange that is money, and you can pull it out on your end, and you can turn this microphone into 5 masks. That's value versus price. So, let's see. I think somebody just wrote something here. One second, let me catch up. All right, so where are we at? Time-wise, can't go too fucking long with this. So 8:30. So this is what I'm looking at, right? So we look at this guy, we say, okay, zooming way the fuck out, this becomes really clear. You know, when you're sucked into the fucking news flow in the last 3 months to 6 months, you might think Armageddon every minute. But that's exactly how people fucking, you know, how people missed what was ultimately the chance for something bigger, right? They get sucked in on a news flow, will keep you fucking tuned into the last 3 months maybe of time. Come on. And mind fucked completely in the ground, all of you sharing the same fucking stories to where you don't see the fucking chance to, you know, participate in a reversal in the markets. We don't have the full structure that we want to see here, but if this is anything like it, right, the crowd is literally fucking going to be misdirected, and boy, is the news flow misdirecting as fuck. Just last night, you see there's another fucking swine flu that looks like it has pandemic fucking possibilities for humans. They said that many times, but you have to take this shit serious because the time you don't, it's the time it really shows up and bites you in the ass. There is every possible headwind to fucking think that we're fucking going to be, you know, die on this planet before we see space. The billionaires of this world are clearly working on fucking space. Elon's Crew Dragon's moving, you know, Branson's making grounds, and so is Bezos. These guys aren't stopping, right? It's either you fucking get off the planet or we fucking collapse into nothing and humans go back to the Stone Age under, you know, just the entire societal collapse of the population. We have the crash cycle of the ages. If that doesn't happen, if this isn't the end of the world, if this isn't biblical times, if you're not the one that's alive to see how the whole world ends like everyone wishes they were, because it's always going to end in your lifetime because you're the motherfucker that has to be around before it ends, you know, that kind of egocentric shit we do. If it's not that, then this is the opportunity of a lifetime. All right, so now I need to go back to a chart that doesn't have all this shit on it so I can do stuff. So you get the idea, blah, blah, blah. Pretty fancy, pretty cool though, right? You can see that across the market. So this is having greater access to information. So we'll use that, we'll leave that on this chart. Let's go to something else. Yoga master, not yoga, Yogi. What's Yogi's love? It has been answered. Yogi loves a picnic basket. Come on, that's an inside joke. That was easy. RSI is not forward-looking. It's a lagging indicator. Who asked about RSIs? All indicators derived from closing data, like RSIs and shit, can only be lagging. There's no way you can take a derivative of this information and actually have far less information and get in front of the fucking source of where that comes from, right? It's derived from this. So yeah, all indicators like that are lagging indicators, correct. Price is always your best indicator. Everything else is derived from it, absolutely. Yogi and Boo Boo, damn right. Somebody as old as me. You guys should watch Yogi and your kids, come on. Did you guys watch like Saturday morning cartoons? Alright, so catching up. I'm gonna go through some like smaller scale stuff here in a second. COVID could be the beginning. Well, COVID is like the shock in the system, right? If it's not the end of, somebody said COVID, oh my God, COVID could be the beginning of the markup, right? COVID is a shock to the system that if it's not the end of mankind, then it's an opportunity for mankind. Those are the only two ways it can go, right? We're either gonna collapse into dust, and this is the crash cycle of the human growth, you know, market for however long we've been growing. And we climaxed out at 7+ billion people, and we bottleneck and we go back down to the Stone Age. If it's not that, the bull market continues of human growth. So you have to look at it like in a more macro sense and not get so sucked into each individual event. Because you gotta remember, the last 100 years has a fucking crazy sets of news stories in it. Nobody really thinks about it, but you know, in 1945, a fucking country got nuked twice. Could you imagine if that headline happened in the modern era? The shit that's in our history, a president was assassinated, that's nuts. You know, nobody even thinks of that stuff. Like, you had a president quit, you had a president assassinated in the 60s, and this bull market continued. And I guarantee you, at every one of those moments, the crowd at that time could have thought that was the end of it. Can you imagine being alive when JFK got assassinated? It would be unfathomable to think that you're going forward. It'd mindfuck the country. So, you know, you have to have these psychological shocks that create these massive distortions of forward reality that create the opportunity itself. And we have that. We definitely have that. Things couldn't be crazier between 1960 style race riots to fucking, you know, pandemics, 1 plus possibly 2. You know, it looks crazy as fuck. I'm not sure what you mean. Do I think the new army of retail bros needs to be killed in the market before the next leg? Retail bros? Who's the retail bros? Not sure what that is. Thanks, Cryptolaris. Appreciate the bits, homie. The army led by that barstool douche. The army led by that barstool douche. So we had a show about this a little bit ago. I see it at Barstool, at Dave Portnoy. Davey Day Trader. So he's smashing Buffett and the like. So he's winning. And for some reason, everyone needs to see him lose. That in itself is fucking a great sentiment, Reed, right? Why? His personality is enough that you wish bad on him? What does that make you? Do you know how many people have been trying to fucking see if they can bring harm to my family because of the style with which I do markets? They've threatened my son, they've threatened my mother because they don't like my attitude. Why so judgmental? Just because someone doesn't act like you doesn't mean they're worthy of your fucking hatred. That's what you're trying to say. And that's horrible. So many of you go out tomorrow and meet your friends and family, tell them what good people you are while you wish somebody on the internet you never met the worst. I think that's a sentiment that's pretty important, right? Everyone wants to see the retail trader lose, Dave Portnoy lose. Why? You know, he's sitting there championing the little guy to be in the markets doing what the fucking people who told you don't deserve to be in the markets can't do. The big heads on Wall Street just fucking ate it. You know, Buffett looks like an ass in the bottom of the fucking dump right there. Dalio looks like a fucking ass. You know, Ackerman came out the fucking big dog of it, but all your big Wall Street heads look like fools. Caught the fucking entire thing wrong. The VIX spike scared them out of the fucking market. We called it dead top of the VIX and caught everybody sleeping on that. The reality is that why am I dressed like this? Because there's not a certain fucking imagery to figuring out up and down. And for you to have ever been conditioned to believe that is a fucking travesty. Do you think there's a certain way that I should be appearing to tell you, hey, if you pick up a loaded firearm and you put it to your head and pull the fucking trigger, it's likely to kill you? What attire should I have on for that to become more true? And think about what you're saying. Because a person acts differently than what you think is quote unquote normal, which is an idea sold to you by people you don't even fucking realize, your idea of normal is given to you. It's not some fucking God-given thing. And somebody who's outside the norms of that, which is likely the person of value, who's nothing like the rest of you who fucking disagree with his mannerisms, think he should fail because he's not like you? That makes sense as a rational read in the market? That's irrational as fuck. You see people who fucking have less and Robinhood finally making money, and you need that to stop. Why? Ultimately, everybody wishing they would fail has now become the majority, thereby making Dave Portnoy and Robinhood the scarcity. And they're winning because everybody's so fixated on them losing. That's the funny part about markets. What's the side of the market that's actually full of the big majority of dummies? Everyone's staring at Portnoy making that money and wishing he'd lose. The only time you wish some motherfucker would lose is when you didn't make shit. That's a hater. And that's your emotions mispricing reality. Has nothing to do with anything. Totally ridiculous. Appreciate you, J-Lo. So that can't be your logic. I need to see fucking retail people lose. That's insane. That's just a problem you have with people winning that you're not doing. And that's most people. Most people like to see everybody else lose to elevate themselves. And that's a very important market dynamic to really understand when you see it in mass. All right, so I'm running out of time right now, 8:40. So we're gonna go over some stuff that looks pretty interesting. Weed. I'll see if we can throw that in there, Kyle. These Zoomers don't know Yogi and Boo Boo. They'll appreciate Yogi and Boo Boo if they go back there. Let's see. All right. Sweet Jesus, is that a fucking second 10,000? Are you out of your mind? Boy, save some of your money. Enjoy the show. I appreciate you very much, man. I hope you kill it. Thanks for the enthusiasm and support. That's fucking insane. Censored. Fucking Christ. Let's see, where are we at down here? Catching up again. All right, we're gonna go back over here and look at some stuff that was interesting. So we talked a while ago about I was still on the graph. See, when I do that little fucking spot, I'm supposed to be on. Am I retarded? Damn it, that's not it. That's not it either. Fucking Christ, I can't see shit. Where the hell is it? Man, I can't see a fucking thing. There it is. I was supposed to do that. I can't see the fucking settings. Alright, well, that's not actually important, so we'll go back and do charts. So we talked about this dude. And he's he's pretty much the Dow. You watch this guy. We talked about him a couple shows ago. He went kind of crazy. So we talked about this gigantic bull flag. So think about what we just looked at, right? That big old basket, zoom the fuck out. We're now really, really narrow. And this guy's a big component of the Dow Jones. So we looked at him, and look at his huge volume shockwave in the bottoms, and you can see this. You can see the little rising floor he's got. Go out to the time scales that we talk about, right, with regard to the rest of the market, and we look at this dude, and as crazy as Boeing looks on this scale of time, going out the 30 years we saw, and you see that the 2009 lows, the lows in 2003, going to the housing bubble. If this is going to correlate even as deep as Boeing dived, structurally, he went from one mega shockwave to another, and he held his ground. He likely has a lot of damage to bleed off, but this guy is part of space cash, he's part of defense, and if we're looking at this correctly, right, and he's going to be part of putting a base on the moon, which we know that he's supposed to be part of that, you think about how things in real time look so crazy to you that you can't fathom they could ever be any bigger, and it's because it's a problem of resolution, right? Every one of these cycles look like the fucking ultimate high of the market at the time they happen. If this guy is able to hold this shockwave low and build from it, and he could absolutely do another wave, and scales could just keep on fucking sliding. That's a possibility. I go on to show you, when you look at this, right, look at the way a linear chart scales. A linear chart is going to show you everything in hindsight from the highest point, and it's going to look relatively fucking incredible, right? This is going to be like, oh my god, this is a crash, this is the end of Boeing. But the reality is, if you stare backwards like that, you compare everything from this point in time backwards, it's a game of relativity, right? This obviously is relatively smaller, and it's going to look like this is fucking unbelievable. But the thing is that price unfolds forward. So understanding that is that when you let it unfold forward, it can keep on actually getting more ridiculous, because today's high always has the capacity to be tomorrow's low. Buy low and sell high might not really be just you looking backwards, and going, buy low means I should have had this and sold this to say I've bought low and sell high. But isn't buying a high in trend that can become tomorrow's low not the same thing as buying low and selling high? So that's a matter of perspective. And this is one of the reasons people don't play trends, because they're too busy looking back at why I didn't get this and trying to find the next version, rather than understanding the statistics behind a trend in motion. So that's that. We look at some stuff, look at some of I told you some of the internet darlings of old are pretty fascinating, right? Let's see here. Get some stuff off of here so I can see better. So clean this guy up, and we're gonna zoom. We're really zoomed out now, so let's zoom out here. Oh, he's got unnecessary amounts of time. So from 2 cycles ago, the internet era, see guys like this, what's old is new again. Some of these guys have some amazing structures that long since been forgotten. Now check these guys out. That looks like a shitcoin coming back from the depths of hell of a bad ICO, right? The ICO dump with the low accumulation that nobody watches, and then he creeps on your ass, and you're like, oh my god, this is a shitcoin dude, bro. I can't believe it's pumping through the roof. This guy has amazing structures. A lot of guys from back in those days that, the internet darlings that were the rage of 2001 when I was in college, and that no one remembers the names of what these guys did. We talked about this briefly in a few other shows, The networkers. The networkers were like the guys who were going to change the whole world. One of my big favorites in college was this guy, right, Sienna. And he's been sitting like in a dead zone for fucking ever. And these guys actually look structurally pretty good for a COVID crisis, right? Does it look like COVID's on this chart really when you look at them? Look at them since the banking crisis. You can't even see the COVID, can you? The COVID. The Bitcoin. The COVID. You can't really see it. Structurally, these guys look fucking phenomenal in the middle of fucking Armageddon. We talked about new economy stocks, right? Oh, Jesus. Damn it. It's typo central for me lately. What the fuck is wrong with me? Shopify. Okay, I'm way too zoomed out for that guy. Anything that gets you from the social problem. Right now, the market is kind of rotating around what it needs to, right? Social is a problem again. Airlines, we told you, if social became a problem, your airlines guys, these guys would have problems. And so they languish, they struggle. But they look similar to Boeing. And ultimately, the airline industry is not going away, right? World travel and society at this the level in this period isn't going back the other way. So at some point, these guys need to make a comeback. As horrible as they look right now, whenever we do find a way to fucking control or mitigate some of the risks, these guys are likely somebody to keep your eyes on. But the structure does look terrible near term. Your guys who give you a way to fucking have commerce without fucking seeing each other, though, are kings. We talked about these dudes in the last show. So the market is not like full-blown risk off. It is in rotation away from fucking the old to the new. And in some cases, from the new to the old and back to the new, right? What is super old is becoming new again. So there's opportunities definitely in the marketplace. Somebody asked me about marijuana. And this was kind of, we drew up for you before, right? We had this shockwave. I know some of you guys played this breakout on Tilray and a few other stocks and sent me some stuff about it in DMs. Really good shit. He kind of looks similar, almost in a way, to Boeing down there, right? Trench low, shockwave like that, and he is kind of stabilizing for the now. I think that he's out of favor with a lot of people, and you do have a lot of distortion. One thing about marijuana, he does have some interesting headwinds coming with him. You're going to see a shitty harvest happen here in a second. But structurally, he doesn't look terrible, So if he can conquer this downtrend he's got again, he might line up for another fucking wave up and keep stepping the way that you see Boeing stepping. So definitely worth keeping your eyes on this guy as he does what he does. Let me see here. I'm time-wise pretty short, 8:48. I'm going to have to be done in literally the next 5 minutes. So let's see. Don't want that there. So some of the things that we've seen, we're going to take it to that macro scale and kind of show you the market's in some interesting places, right? These banks are not all dead. We know that a bear flag is made of a series of bull flags. And if he doesn't fully roll over, this guy can keep on trending. The central bank is very much defending the market more aggressively than even in the banking crisis. They're on the bid. And so they know that literally liquidity is actually the real medicine, right? More sickness, more disease, more war, add money. And that is the weapon that they have. Liquidity really is the fucking cure. So it's a battle between the collapse of mankind and the central bankers. And I don't know that we're living in the era of the end of mankind. If we are, the VIX chart will show it if he goes bull market trending across what I showed you in the VIX specials. So for all intents and purposes, you could bet on the end of the world because you're alive to see it like everyone has done for, all of their lifetimes, right? People are always betting on the end of the world and thinking that they're going to be the one around to see it every fucking time. Everybody thought they knew when the end of the world would be. It's been a thing throughout history, right? I love this chart. You go all the way back to fucking, pre-fucking 1900. Trust me, everybody knew it was the end of the world. Up here and over here and the whole way. And every next set of idiots repeats the same thing. There's only one point in time that the end of the world will happen. The statistics really aren't in your favor to call tops, right? We said that about trends. They'll kill you. You really want to pick the fucking last candle in this motherfucker? You bet your ass on it. If it's the end of the world, who gives a fuck? You're done. If it's not, you better make a fucking plan like tomorrow's gonna happen. Most people are so busy trying to fucking be Chicken Little running around that's the end of the world, they haven't fucking given it half a fucking thought, It's quite crazy. So, for the time being, you're going to see some shutdowns happen again. Guys who benefit from social businesses are going to get hurt again. I think it was pretty good to see Microsoft, as a company decide to fucking exit the brick and mortar market. They were dying next to Apple Store, which they tried to copy. It was just a bad copy of a thing they shouldn't have done. I think that's good. We have a fractal for this guy, and he looks good. I mean, that's a bull flag on fucking Microsoft as far as anybody can see it, right? Pretty cleanly defined one too. This market in certain sides of it looks extraordinarily bullish. And everybody's pretty sure it's Armageddon. Trend is your friend, don't bet on it till you have like confirmations and whatever resolution of time you operate. But don't get so sucked in either that the news flow bends reality so that you can't see what could be. Ultimately, the distortions that the media does and the way that we're interconnected and share ideas between each other, infecting ourselves with each other's fucking bullshit, helps to fucking create the cloud and the bias lens that warps what the possibilities of forward reality could be. Right? In these moments, we're clouded, we're fucking jaded, we've lost so much that we don't see straight, and we fucking forego opportunities like this. This is why the wealth gap grows from every crisis. Think about it, right? Clearly, the people at the top of the food chain aren't doing the same things that the people at the bottom of the food chain in every one of these massive events that shocks the world. This is Microsoft. This is the crash of 2001, and then your reflation trade. Not really big in Microsoft here. This is the housing bubble for him, but man, is the next like fucking something massive. And this is already come and gone. Microsoft's already high. This is the COVID lows. If this is going to keep going and you're busy talking about when is it got to crash again from this point on, you're just going to make the same mistake that all these people did talking about Obama. And as Obama, nothing they said would happen under him happened. And they're 10 years older. And their families are going to die sooner. And they're economically fucking restrained. You can be right or you can be happy. Let yourself be fucking happy. So I think that's a memo there. We'll probably have to cut at that point. I have to go do morning prep with the guys. So fun stuff. I'm going to throw you guys a link for Telegram. I can't see anything to figure out what the fucking phone is. And you guys jump in and have a chat. Introduce yourself to everybody. We talk about lots of jarring shit, but that's a fractal of the behavior you have to be able to talk about really emotionally compromising things and think critically. That's a behavior that is required if you're going to be in the hardest thing in the world, which is trading. You have to be able to make very, very sound decisions while you're under incredible emotional stress. So we deal with versions of that in other conversations. We talk about emotionally taxing shit and see if you can think while you're fucking under stress. So understand that when you walk in, you're going to see some shit that will fucking trigger you. If you're too triggered, it's not the place for you. It's a free room. Be respectful of everybody in it. And, we'll catch up with you guys in there. Copy, and any second now. Here it comes. What's going on here? Ta-da! Did that one before the show's done. There you go. So hit that, put an avatar on, hide any personal stuff that's going to get you in trouble, like your phone number and then whatever you don't want to have out there. And say hi to everybody. It's not a lurker room. Don't come in and do what the majority does and sit silent and wait for hot tips. We're not hot tip motherfuckers. We're going to make you think. If you sit there looking for hot tips, you're just going to have triggered. We're not that kind of room. We will absolutely throw you right the fuck back out too. Don't care about the size of the room. We care about the participation levels of the room. So that's where value is. So anyways, that's about it, guys. I appreciate you coming for this morning conversation. Like I said, the news can distort a lot of things for you. Read the charts, not the news. The charts don't look as terrible as the news would have you believe, and so you should keep that in mind. Should this guy break down, have a plan in place right now. You don't act on this because we talked about it here. You make a plan that revolves around some of the information here, and you add it onto your own thought process, make your own decisions. Appreciate you, Freddie Bull. So that's about it, There's a lot of interesting stuff out there. We talked about Amazon too. Remember, everybody paying attention to this. Any of the guys who are benefiting from fucking not seeing each other and continuing commerce, these guys look great. Amazing size of the market. Peloton, remember? Peloton was one of the antisocial guys. If you had to stay home and fucking stay away from the gym. We talked about him quite a while ago. Totally crazy. Right? So there is capital seeking risk and basically repricing what it looks like the fundamentals of the world give us forward. And we see social weakness and antisocial strength. There is many other versions of that going on in the marketplace. One of the things that you'll definitely see come back, should we really see real strength, energy has been languishing, but energy himself doesn't look horrific. And has had a meaningful bounce from the lows as oil is stabilized. Gold is still rising, and we know that, with the amount of liquidity in the system, all assets have likely been repriced massively. You just have yet to see that fully realized. So gold strengths are still there. We've got a key level up there, 1798, to see him get through. And we told you this could possibly be a bit of a mess getting out, so he's taking a minute, but Gold's trend structure is phenomenal. With Microsoft's trend structure, you have a lot of assets that are repricing in terms of dollars while everybody thinks it's Armageddon. So keep your head on your shoulders, stay in tune with the real Nomics, and we'll keep you guys fucking objective about reality. I appreciate everybody who's here, who joined us this morning. I hope you guys have a good day, and we'll catch you again. Adios.
Welcome to Winternomics TV. Your stream will begin shortly.